Hello, this is Sune from Forsound. We're here at Copenhell Festival. Today I'm talking with the legendary Ian Haugland of Europe. We will be talking some drums and other stuff right now. Hi Ian, so nice to meet you, and so nice of you to take the time to come by here and answer some questions.
Oh, thanks. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. So Europe you played South America earlier this year. How did that go?
Yeah, that's right. It's always a thrill to go to South America because the audience are totally fucking crazy. They just go nuts when you play. So I know we played in Santiago, and between every song it's ole, ole, like football chanting and stuff, almost as loud as the music from the. So it's a very special experience.
Right. So tell us about your the current drum setup, the Ludwig drums, or the Peisty cymbals.
Yeah. Well, I actually have two kits. It's one Vista Light Clear that I'm using right now here at Copenhell, and I have another kit. It's John Bonham reissues from '68, the same kind of setup he had on the Albert Hall DVD. But I'm not sure. Is it maple or is it birch? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
I'm just a fucking drummer. I count to 4 and I hope for the best. I
would believe maple, but
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I trust
either.
you.
Yeah.
You're a music dealer. I'm
Yes.
just a drummer. In any way, it's the classic Bonham setup. The Vista Light has a 26 by 14 bass drum, 13 by 9 rack tom, 16 by 16 and 18 by 16 floor toms. And I got a Gibraltar, like a setup with a hardware setup. And the cymbals are obviously Peisty. I've always been a Peisty guy. The first cymbal I bought for my own money when I was like 13 years old was a Peisty cymbal. Nothing else. It's never been another option actually. I've always been with Peisty in my heart. So I always played 2002s, and I've tried the 3000s and signatures and all that. But when we started working on the previous album with producer Dave Cobb, I talked to him and I asked him what kind of cymbals, size-wise, and do you prefer if I would use in the studio? Because I'm kind of open-minded. I want to get the best result. I'm not, stuck in this or that. It has to be this. So he said that he had a lot of great experiences with a Giant Beat series. The first real cymbal that Peisty made back in the 60s. That was used by John Bonham and all those guys. So I just let's go for that. So I called Christian at Peisty in Switzerland, and he set me up with a setup with cymbals. And I fell in love with them. They're so smooth, and they just blend into the whole sonic pictures in a very natural way. It's not too aggressive, not too it sits right in there. So I use only the Giant Beat cymbals. I went from a 14-inch hi-hat to a 15-inch hi-hat. And the other sizes they actually only have thin crashes and regular crashes. So they have 18 and 20. So I have one of each actually, and a 24-inch ride. And I'm really happy with it. It sounds amazing. Yeah.
Nice. And so you made the change from the double kick setup with 4 toms up sometimes and 2 on the floor. That's the classic rock, a 5-piece, and how did that happen, and what made you make the change?
Well, I don't know really. I started getting confused. Too much shit to hit. Like what the fuck? Where do I begin to fill, and what cymbal should I hit? So I thought, if Ian Pace and Cozy Powell and John Bonham can make it sound as big as with only a few toms and a few cymbals, I should probably try the same. So I did. That's when I scaled down the kit, and I did that in 1990, and I've stuck with that setup since then. Obviously, I'm using the double kick pedal, Iron Cobra, Tama pedal. It's great. But I mean, yeah, it's, you know, I don't really have use for too many, you know, toms and cymbals and stuff, because I'm more of a groover. I'm more of a, you know, like Phil Rudd, Cozy Powell engine kind of drummer. I don't consider myself a very technically skilled drummer, and I don't need all those different sound palettes really. You know, I'm more of a groover, so it works good for me.
Were any of those Cozy Powell or John Bonham and those classic rock drummers, were they any influences of yours when you were growing up?
Oh yeah. The reason why I started playing drums was Cozy Powell. I heard him playing on the Rainbow Rising album in 1976, and I was totally blown away. And then later in 1976, I got a chance to go and see Rainbow play live.
Wow.
And Cozy Powell played his drum solo with you know, bombs and flashes and shit. And I you know, immediately then I realized this is what I'm gonna do. This is my call. This is where my soul lays. So from that moment on, I always been, you know, focused on playing music and playing drums. So Cozy Powell was the starting point. But then obviously all the great drummers, you know, like, well, Cozy Powell, John Bonham, Ian Pace, big influences, Andy Parker from UFO, Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy, all these great classic rock drummers, Phil Rudd from AC/DC and all those guys. Yeah.
And speaking of lots of things to hit back when you had the big kit in the 80s, you were using some D drums.
That's right.
Pads also. Yeah. How was that working with electronics back in that day, and what did you actually use them for?
Yeah, right. I remember I had the first D drum trigger pad, or like a sample pad. I think they were called Clavia at the time. It was before they became D drum, and it was basically just a box with 4 knobs, pitch, decay, whatever. And it had 2 push buttons, so you could have 4 different sounds and combine them, you know. And I just basically used it as a effects tom or something, you know, like a Simmons kind of type tom. And it worked good. It was really durable. I remember I had it for 2 tours in 1985, and then came the first generation of the D drums, and I started using the D drum pads, the plastic ones with a real drum head on, and they work. I think they work good for being the first generation. Obviously, they had these sound cartridges, slots that I think there were 6 or 8 of them, and so you could only have so many sounds. It worked for drums, but I remember they had some gongs and cymbals, sounded like shit, but that was back in the day when you didn't have too much sampling time.
Right.
But I used it in 1988. I actually had a double kit on a revolving drum riser.
Right.
So I had my acoustic Yamaha kit that I was playing at the time that way, and then the opposite way I had the D drums. So in the middle of the show, we spun the drum riser. So
like a Neil Peart
exactly,
kind of setup.
I totally took that idea from him. So that's, but I mean, I only used the regular drum sounds. These days, when I think back about it, it's like, why did I use the D drums anyway? Because I had I didn't use it for like electronic sounds or anything. It was just, but you know, back in the 80s, everything should be the more the better.
Absolutely.
So I used that for a while, and I think the best use I had for them was when we were touring with Def Leppard in America in 1989, because we were opening up for Def Leppard. So it was very convenient to have the pads.
Right.
And Rick Allen from Def Leppard, he was also playing the D drum pads. So I remember we did some sponsor, you know, like promo shots and stuff with him and me by the D drum kit. So that was really convenient. But I used a regular snare drum, but that was good, and real cymbals.
And these days you are, I know from Roland here in Denmark that
Yeah.
you also have a TD30.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I bought it half a year ago. Well, maybe a year ago, and it's just great to have. I have it set up in my apartment, so it's basically for rehearsing and practicing, and it's a perfect tool to be able to, working on new stuff, new songs, and learn arrangements and stuff, and so I've been using it basically for that, but also done some demoing, and it just sounds so natural, and it's so dynamic, and it's so three-dimensional. It doesn't really sound like trigger drums in the big picture. Oh, here comes the sun.
Oh, nice.
As George Harrison would have said.
You brought the sun with you.
Yeah.
Nice. We need it.
Yeah. So it's basically that. But also, I've been trying it on some minor productions, and basically helping out with putting down drums and stuff. And it's really useful, because you can just record the MIDI information, and then you can edit. You have a full edit till you can edit the sounds all the way up to the final mix if you want, which is amazing, I think. So it's a very, very good tool to and it gives you no limitations, basically. So I haven't tried the TD50 yet.
No.
But they're supposed to be even better.
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah,
They're pretty awesome.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And so you also sing backup vocals or with Europe?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What's your approach to singing and drumming?
I don't know. I when I started playing drums back in the day, at the end of the 70s, my first band, we nobody wanted to sing, so they why don't you sing? And I was like, well, I'm playing drums. Yeah, but I don't want to sing. You try. So I just went for it, and I didn't have a plan or anything. But eventually, I just found a technique, to be able to play and sing in a different rhythm pattern. So I guess it was useful in one way. But I don't at all consider myself a singer. I can manage to sing maybe one or tops two songs, lead vocals.
Okay.
But I have my vocal technique is totally weird, so I just my voice gets shot immediately, But it's fun. It's great.
Right.
It's good to play the big rock star sometimes. Walk out on stage and flirt with the chicks and stand with them, like the big boys.
Will we be seeing any of that later today?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I might play naked or something. That happens too.
So, you when you play drum solos, you like to play along to pieces of classical music.
Yeah, and I stole that from Cozy Powell as well.
So that's where that came from.
That's what he did. He played along to the Tchaikovsky 1812
with
overture.
The bombs and cannons and
and I really like that, because I find drum solos fucking boring. It's just like, who fucking cares? You gotta give something more. You gotta give some kind of a, like entertainment value, and that's what he did with that drum solo. So I stole that idea. I ripped it off. So, but I'm using the Wilhelm Tell overture. And the reason why I got that song as an idea was I was looking at Clockwork Orange, the scene where he picks up two chicks in a record store, and he goes up to his apartment and he bangs both of them in like ultra speed, So I thought that was a good idea. For a while I wanted to have that scene being played behind the drum kit when I was playing with. But it's and also, well, in the 80s also I used to do a thing where I went front stage and I just had a snare drum.
Yeah.
And I played along, just a very simple pattern, but people joined in and felt like they were part of the drum solo. And I think that's the most important thing, is to make people feel like they're part of the show, to participate.
So are you using any triggers or any pads live in your setup now?
Yeah, I use the beautiful little TM2 unit. Little one, it's very small, but it's very effective. It's like a rabbit dick. You know, it's very small, but it's very effective. And you know, you can trigger, I think it's up to 4 different sounds. But I use it with just two triggers. One for an effect sound that I have sampled into it, that I made myself. It's really easy to I mean, it's stuffed with a lot of great sounds, but you can also just import your own sounds on a SD card. You know, it's really simple. And so I use my one of them as a like an FX tom, and the second one I use for cowbell and rim shot. And yeah, it's just so convenient, and it sounds great, and it's very cheap. So it's all good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I have one last question.
Yeah.
In the final countdown, there are 2 very significant drum fills.
Yeah.
The intro fill.
Yeah.
And the fill leading up to the solo part.
Oh yeah, right. The intro fill I stole from Phil Collins.
Yeah, it has that vibe.
In the air tonight, but I did it more like a.
Yes, it's.
So yeah, I stole that too. I'm a cheap bastard, and then I.
But I mean, it still works on its own. I mean, you can tell the inspiration, but it's still definitely, it's such an integrated part of the song.
Yeah, that's true. And the fill leading into the solo, it was just, it just happened. Because I didn't have a clue. I just, well, Ian, do something, you know, like a drum fill leading into the solo. Okay, okay, that's fine. It's a rap, you know. So when we recorded it, it just happened. I had a sort of an idea what I wanted to do, but it wasn't like studied or anything.
Right.
So, but you know, I like to work that way. It's in the spur of the moment, and I mean the key fills and stuff that I do, I try to do sort of the same way every show.
Right.
But basically, other than that, I try to vary everything all the time because it's fun to try new stuff.
Ian, thank you so much once
you.
again for taking the time to come by here and chat with us about some drums and other related stuff.
Thanks.
We are really looking forward to seeing you and the rest of Europe kicking some butt here in an hour or something.
Yep, it's going to be great.
With the sun out now, so it should be perfect.
Yep, that's right.
Thank you guys for watching.